Hello, everyone, and welcome to Grip Locked for the Texas State's preview. Texas State's begins tomorrow on March 25th out in Tyler, Texas. They're going to be playing a new course this year. Should be a good time, but we're going to go over all of the stuff that you need to know headed into this week to get you ready to watch all this coverage that's coming your way, whether you're watching live, post-produced, all of that. We're getting you ready so that you can enjoy the tournament. But yeah, let's just go ahead and talk about the course. So it's a safari layout dubbed the Thorn.
I love that, by the way. Great name.
The Thorn.
Course names are super crucial to it's just one of those things that adds to the allure of an event. And a lot of courses are just end up being named after
the park
the park that they're in. And that's whatever. It is what it is. But the Thorn, that's sick. We're playing Texas State's at the Thorn. It just sounds way cooler.
So in years past, it was at Dogwood, which is at the same park. It's at Lindsay Park.
Cool course
and this year they are using a safari layout that combines basically all three courses that are there and combines different holes. So it's at the same place as normal, but a completely different layout. And this has gotten some mixed feedback from players mainly because it fully changes the whole event style. It goes from a technical wooded event to now honestly a good mix. It's not just wide open golf course style.
It's funny because when you and I went out and played it, we really liked it and thought it was a great mix. And we didn't whenever all these we started hearing all this chatter about some players not liking it, and for really just the reason I think that it is not wooded.
It's not what they expect.
And I think that the way the tour is now, they're the guys and girls who like playing the wooded technical courses because that's where their chances to win are. They get really bummed out if they lose one of those stops. But it's it's better for this. It's better for the sport to have more mixed layouts. I think you get the best of both worlds.
Yeah,
and
it challenges every player.
For spectators, Dogwood would just be impossible because we played Dogwood. Yeah. And it would be impossible. And who knows what the signal would be like.
And honestly, I don't feel like we're sacrificing quality of an event.
No.
By any means. I think honestly, my opinion, after playing both courses down there, I think we're getting a much better tour event.
Yeah, I
being
think
on
so
this
too.
hybrid course. It's just been fascinating seeing players and fans because the players are getting upset. Because a lot of the fans that I've seen talk about it have been talking about it before there's been footage and stuff released.
Yeah.
So they're just oh great, another boring Heiser fest.
It's not like that.
I'm I mean, I obviously release everything on Heiser, so I threw a lot of Heisers, but I didn't actually throw a lot of Heisers, if that makes sense.
No,
it was you have to hit gaps, and it's very particular about where your shot's landing.
Right.
It's going to challenge players' entire bag on this course. I threw a wide variety of shots off the tee. There was never here we go. Because on a golf course, you can get, here we go, destroyer on Heiser again, destroyer on Heiser, and that can get very boring. It's not that style course.
What I found was that, kind of like you mentioned, there obviously are holes where you have to hit gaps, but even on the ones that felt more open, it was the landing spot was very important.
It was very crucial.
And then there will be, I think a lot of players are just frustrated too because if it is windy, which the forecast looks like it won't be super windy, but if it is, because it was when we were there, that'll become a huge factor.
Yes.
But, I mean, that's just kind of part of the game.
I think we're kind of in a similar situation.
I think they're just frustrated. I think some of them are just frustrated.
Yeah, well, I think we're in a similar situation as last year. We went through a spurt where it seemed like every tour stop was on golf courses.
Yeah.
Right now we're in the Texas swing, and we're in week 3 of the final week of the Texas swing, and I think that it feels like right now all the players are doing is playing in wind. And so I think it's a similar vibe.
They just get frustrated.
There was nothing wrong with the golf courses last year. It's just when you're stop after stop after stop is golf courses, it gets very boring.
That is
same thing with stop after stop after stop is windy Texas golf. It gets boring.
Yeah, that is the thing about the disc golf tour because of the way they accommodate all the players that are just driving. You can't just jump all across the country time after time. Because it would be great if you basically took the tour and chopped it up back and forth so that we're getting wooded technical East Coast stuff mixed in with the West Coast open trees and the park style stuff. But it's just not how it works. So I mean, because the bottom line is they're going to go shortly after this, a couple weeks, they're going to go to W.R. Jackson and play a very technical course. Yeah. So it's coming. It's going to happen eventually. Mm-hmm. And then probably at some point they'll be tired of the wooded stuff.
That just happens at the end of the year.
Yeah, nobody's always going to be a fan of every layout, but I thought the course was, I'm going to be entertained watching it.
Absolutely.
There's a good mix of everything.
Yeah, and again, even though it is a more open course, it's not a like wide open field, boring Heiser fest. Like there is plenty of hit this gap, your disc needs to land over here, which is the same aspects of a wooded course. It's just there's not trees in between that anymore. So, but if your lineup's off, you're still gonna have to be scrambling, even though you're in the open. The video of us playing the course will actually drop later today, and you'll see plenty of times where we threw decent shots distance-wise. We hit the initial gap, but because of where our disc landed, we didn't have an approach to the green, or you still had to scramble even though we were in the open.
I think the only thing that will change my mind will be, obviously Hunter and I don't have tour distance. We're 150 feet short of it, really. So the only thing that's going to change my mind is if those guys get out there and they see lines that Hunter and I didn't realize were there, and they exploit the course, which I didn't. There may be
seem like a ton was.
There
possible.
may be a couple holes where something like that can be done, but I thought that a lot of the par 4s and par 5s or whatever was out there, like Hunter and I were having. There was a good bit of them that Hunter and I couldn't even reach.
Yeah, which means that they'll be able to reach in 2 good shots.
Right. I don't see the course necessarily getting exploited. That's the only thing.
I do think that it's a very scoreable course. I think that double digits under, if assuming the wind's down, which we'll look at the weather here in a second.
But I think even with the wind, it's not
very doable.
Like we played in. I mean, it was gusting over 30 miles an hour. It was like steady 15 to 20.
Yeah, there was a wind advisory the day.
Wind advisory, yeah, and Hunter and I, even in that, were able to play like. Somewhat, we were able to throw pretty competent shots on a lot of those holes. It's not like there were times, obviously, the wind just bodies your disc, but like, I mean, I felt like I didn't have like too much difficulty navigating, and I'm not even very good. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, no, we'll definitely see. So let's look at the weather. We've talked about it quite a bit out here. So tomorrow when the tournament starts, it's looking like it's going to be a high of 76. When the FPO feature card tees off, looks like it's going to be around 56 degrees, 5-mile-an-hour winds, pretty much nothing. By the time the MPO lead tees off, it's going to be about 73, 74 degrees, only 5-mile-per-hour winds.
That's what I'm saying.
So tomorrow is a very big scoring day.
Based on what Hunter and I saw, and like maybe this will just be a freezing cold take, but like Hunter and I, based on how we played the course, if the wind is that low and it's nice and warm and those players are out there, like I would expect the MPO hot round to come in.
It could be 12,
it's got to be double digits.
Down.
It's got to be.
Yeah, I would expect like 12, 13 under. Because it's going to be hot.
Hunter and I know wind could shoot under par there.
Yeah.
Just under par, but we could get under par. So like those pros for sure
now,
could get double
saying
digits.
that, one of the two of us after you watch the video is going to sound crazy, but I fully agree with you. Playing that course a second time with no wind, I think that we are capable of scoring under par out there.
Yeah.
Which means the top of the game is definitely capable of scoring double digits under.
Yeah, I would think hot round comes in the 12 to 13 range.
Yeah, so and then Saturday, again, high of 82 degrees. When the FPO lead card's teeing off, it looks like it's going to be about 63, 7-mile-an-hour wind, so a little windier.
Yeah.
And then when the MPO leads teeing off, it's going to be 80 degrees and 9-mile-per-hour wind. So wind still relatively low.
Right.
But it will pick up a little bit, and then Sunday's going to be the windiest day. FPO lead will tee off around 63 degrees, 9-mile-per-hour wind, and MPO lead will tee off around 78 degrees with 12-mile-an-hour winds.
It's not like drastic though.
So Sunday, there might be some gusts over 20 miles an hour because they are going to be in a little bit of a more open park area. So there might be some wind come into effect on late Saturday and Sunday, but I would expect this course is going to play pretty scoreable. I'm going to say that your MPO, you're going to have to shoot. We're going to go, you have to go 30 under or better to win.
Yeah, I would say average around 9 or 10 under.
Yeah,
is probably
I'm gonna say probably like I think 32 wins it. If someone gets to 32 under, they win it.
Yeah, I don't.
If they go 12, 10, 10.
I would say right around 30. Yeah, I think the only thing that I don't know about the course is how the scoring separation is going to look. I'm not sure what they've done with OB.
There's definitely scoring separation out there.
Yeah.
And I heard in Brody's video him talking about some OB that we didn't notice, but it didn't seem like. It seemed like it was too close. Out of the way of like protecting between fairways.
Right, that's what I was getting the vibe. I think that there really isn't a lot of blow potential. So really, if there's any scoring separation, it's just going to be because some players aren't like making a ton of birdies, like making the birdie putts. I don't see a lot of blow up potential.
I mean, there's some here and there
out there.
There's some danger to get in, but it's gonna require some bad play.
Yeah,
it's not like.
Really, there's just a couple hole, like, I mean, because I think, no, not to spoil anything, but I really only took like one big-ish number, and I think it's because that one hole, like there was a road that I threw into. But like other than that, like there wasn't a lot of places that my disc was landing that I was like, oh, that is like jail. You're taking a double from here. So I feel like any of the scoring separation.
But there are those places on the course.
Yeah.
But you do have to throw a bad shot.
Yeah, you have to throw a pretty bad shot to beat.
But I mean, you get too big of a skip or something like that. You get too aggressive on some of the shots. Those places do exist, but it's not like.
I wouldn't be surprised to see a pretty jumbled up scorecard.
Yes, I would agree.
I think it'll be jumbled
I think
up.
the course plays tough enough that there will be scoring separation from like the really good players to the player. Like you're not going to have random, low 1,000 rated players pop up into the top 5 for all 3 rounds, but it's going to be wild enough that 10-15, 10-10 rated player, something like that. So like a very, very good player that has like really high ceiling, but also a really low floor. If they play towards that high ceiling, there's not enough that like they can have a bagged hole or two and still save par.
Yeah.
To where they're not going to have blowups like that. FPO, we can't talk too much about the course because the FPO tees weren't in when we played, or if they were, that we didn't have the layout. So I noticed in the caddy book that they were playing shorter tees on several different holes. I can't really provide much insight there.
Typically, it seems like they've been able to incorporate those tees in a way that is pretty organic to where the course plays the way it's intended to play. So hopefully that trend continues because then you can look at it kind of similar. Yeah.
Now on the MPO side, Ricky's coming into Texas States. The Pro Tour just posted a graphic where Ricky has never played Texas States and lost. People were pointing out like there's some years missing in the graphic of when they said Ricky's never lost Texas States. For them to say Ricky never lost, obviously he didn't play the years that are missing in the graphic.
Yeah.
So coming into it, never lost, but with the course change, it's basically a whole different tournament.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter.
So it'll be interesting to see how he attacks it because I think that will give like you're still on the same property and it's still the same tournament name. So like there's still some type of confidence walking in.
It is funny that like you have the guys that were complaining about, I don't even know like who, I just heard chatter that they're like technical players complaining that like they might not have as much of a chance because it's not a technical course, but at the same time like Ricky, who can dominate both styles of courses, is the one that you have to beat anyways. So like it's not like the winner of this event each year is like a guy like Michael Johansson or like some technical like niche player. No, it's Ricky. Like he's just the one that dominated.
You got to beat the same player.
Yeah.
Now Eagle obviously is not here because he's missing the whole Texas swing, but there has been a little bit of an update in his injury situation. So he announced in a video that he uploaded to his channel recently that he's getting an MRI in the coming days or weeks to look more into his injury. He's, after researching, seeing how he feels, he's like self-diagnosed, but not really.
He suspects.
He suspects that he has a torn labrum in his right arm, not his left arm, a possible torn labrum. So he's looking into possible treatments that would get him out on the course quickly. But obviously, we hope he's able to figure out a way to get back on the course at 100%. And, Brody and I talked about on debate night, with an injury like this, it's obvious more important to like take time off now when you're young in your career and find a way to get back to 100% than it is to try to get back out there as soon as possible. And you're at like 80-90% and you either shorten the longevity of your career or you're just never able to get back to that 100% mark.
Yeah. So in the injury thing is like kind of not been hugely present in disc golf like over the years because you see in other sports all the time. Like look at a guy like Zion Williamson in basketball, somebody who is like supposed to be like one of the next greats of our generation, and like who knows? Like he's out for the rest of the season right now. Who knows how many times he'll touch the court?
There have been some clips of him throwing down some dunks again.
Well, he's out for the rest of the season.
I know, but he's back in the gym.
In any case, I'm just saying. Okay, Greg Oden,
under the leg dunking.
Duke fan here,
he's
but
kind of back.
There are plenty of players who are just shut down because of injuries and never.
Derrick Rose is the best example.
Yeah, he's a good one. Yeah, because
he was a MVP. Or was he first year MVP? Like, was he a rookie?
No,
MVP?
It wasn't his rookie year.
But very early in his career, he was a dominant player, and then knee injury, and he's a role player. But he's just not the player you would have expected when you watch Derrick Rose.
Bo Jackson's career is ended by injury. There's a ton of examples in disc golf. It just hasn't really been. We haven't really seen that yet. But like, and it's so brutal. But like, imagine, there will eventually become a scenario where like a young and talented player, maybe somebody who either has already risen to kind of the top of the game, or somebody who you just suspect would, and then their career is kind of sabotaged by an injury. I really hope that isn't the case for Eagle, but labrum stuff can be serious. It can have long-term effects on your throwing arm. But it's just one of those things that it's almost like it kind of like woke me up because I was like, man, like that's something we haven't seen in disc golf yet that happens all the time in pro sports, is like this career that like everybody's rooting for. Like it's such a certain thing that like,
we've seen it, because we've seen like Paul.
We've seen like
what did
hiccups.
Paul do to his knee?
Right, but
did he tear his ACL or is his MCL?
Meniscus. But like we've had hiccups, but we've never like. And
we haven't had one.
This is throwing.
Paul
arm.
Ulibarri tore his ACL.
Right, but this is throwing arm.
No, we haven't had one that like the player never gets back.
Right, because like when you have something with your labrum, like that's something that you just might not be able to control.
Your forehand might just never be the same.
Exactly.
Backhand, you should be able to get to where because it won't affect range of motion this way too much. So
you just might lose strength though. That's the problem.
Disc golf is a lot more about flexibility than strength. We know that.
Well, yeah, but it still matters.
I think backhand will be able to get back to 100%. No question. I think forehand is the tough one. No, I would be shocked if this is an injury that prevents his backhand. Like if he suddenly is throwing 550 instead of 650. I'd be shocked.
We'll see.
But the forehand, definitely, because this range of motion with your shoulder. But hopefully the MRI shows it's not a torn labrum and it's just something else. Or if it is a torn labrum, it's very partial. And it's just like a physical therapy, get you back to 100%, not a big deal thing. But
I would be surprised if he plays the rest of the season. I'll tell you that.
I wouldn't be. I think he'll be back at Champions Cup for possibly like a return that's backhand only, and then I think he takes a little bit off. I think he's back by.
So you think? Okay.
Mid majors. My thing is he was able to be throwing and feel comfortable enough to play a few events, and then I'm more confused as to why the MRI is happening now. Versus shortly after the injury.
I'm just saying it depends on the diagnosis, obviously. But if somebody if time to recover is mentioned, and I know that I have so many years left in my prime, and I think at all it could benefit me to take a year off. I gotta put it away.
I agree.
For a year.
I am too. But in the video, he was like, "I think I'll still, no matter what, I think I'm gonna try to still play Champions Cup."
Well, that is
which tells me that. That's not his process.
Well, I
think.
I guess if he's getting surgery, I think
he never mentioned surgery. He mentioned stem cell.
Right.
Was his
Well, I think his thought process was like, if it comes back to where I'm gonna have to take time off anyways, then I might as well play on it for one more major. Like that is a thing that a lot of times athletes will do. Is like, Tiger Woods won the U.S. Open that one year on like a broken leg, pretty much, but like played it because it's not like he's gonna have to get surgery anyways. So he just went out like that, but.
It'll be fascinating to kind of see how that develops, and obviously we're hoping Eagle gets out back on the course at 100%, hopefully sometime soon. Another storyline is Haley King will not be in attendance because she's been unable to travel through some storms in the Midwest.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
Yeah, and that's just nothing. Obviously you can't do anything about that.
She's a defending champ.
Yeah, so that's what kind of sucks because I think that even with the course changes, I think it probably would even played better to Haley King's strengths.
Yeah.
But not going to be out there this year, unfortunately. So let's get into some keys to victory out here. So these aren't going to be stat backed because they haven't played this course. So this is going to be Hunter's gut and from me playing the course backed. So some would say it's even more accurate than stats, honestly.
I would say.
Take that for what it's worth. Hunter's gut's better than stats. Here I am. MPO. I lost my spot. For MPO, I got 2 as always. First one, controlled distance. Distance is going to help a lot out there because it is an open course, but throwing far without concern for where it's landing isn't going to really do much. Players need to accurately get down the fairway. Like Trevor and I were saying, there's many spots where like just getting far down, that might be great, but you might still be taking a par because there's no line where you got far down. So being able to be in control of the disc is almost more important than just 600 plus foot distance out here. Being able to throw 450, 500, and knowing the general area it's going to land and getting yourself far enough left on some holes or far enough right, that's going to be crucial. So controlled distance, if they're able to do that and be smart about where the disc is ending up, course is very, very scoreable. The second thing is playing the wind. If the wind is like it's showing, players really need to take advantage of it when the wind is down. So like on holes that are gusty, the course is going to play way harder. So on holes that you get up to and there's not wind, players are going to have to take advantage and score on those holes because especially like on some days, if a player has an earlier tee time a little bit, like on this first day, and the afternoon might just get gusty, huge advantage you can have there. If you're, 10:30 tee time and the leaders go off at 3:40 and the wind is just picks up out of nowhere unexpectedly for the leaders, you might be able to sneak in a 10, 12 under, and the feature card, which has a lot of the best players in the world right now on those feature cards, they might not, because of the conditions, they might only be able to get 5, 6 under, and you have that 6-stroke head start, which in a 3-round tournament, that could be the whole tournament. So that's the MPO keys to victory. On FPO. First things first, get off the tee. It definitely seems like the tee shots, there's a lot of par 4s and 5s on this course. It seems like the tee shots are a lot more important than the second shots, because the second shots, some of them are technical, some of them are hard, but if you get off the tee well, they're not.
Yeah,
very straightforward.
A lot of the second shots, too, are pretty similar. It seemed like there's a lot of just like low ceiling, just kind of controlled straight shots.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't a lot of very complex upshots.
Yeah, so the FPO players are going to need to not just hit the gaps, but kind of similarly to the MPO. I don't think distance is crucial, but making sure that you hit the gap and get to kind of where you want is going to be crucial out there. And then the second thing is going to be damage control. So there are some holes out there that can have teeth if you're in the wrong spots. Again, not having a line to the green, forcing you to take a par, or an FPO if you're far enough back might force you to take a bogey.
Yeah.
And also, there's some holes where the woods on the right are kind of death, but they're not OB. You just don't want to be in there, or there is OB on some of the holes and stuff like that. So, damage control, where if you end up in one of those situations, being smart and not trying to go for something to save the par and end up taking a double bogey or worse, but just pitching out, taking a stroke, being okay with a bogey in some of the situations if your drive doesn't go where it's planned.
Honestly, I do see, when I think about it, I feel like a lot of the opportunities for bogeys on that course are going to be players being out of position off the tee and then trying to go for something heroic on the second shot.
Yeah.
I think that could be where we see the most mistakes made.
So, yeah, there's your keys to victory for MPO and FPO. Let's get into our predictions as we wrap up the show. Coming into Texas State's, Connor is currently in the lead at 13 points overall with his predictions. I'm in second at 9 points overall, and Trevor's in third at 6 points overall. Quick refresher on how this works. We predict the top 3 MPO, top 3 FPO, and our dark horse pick. If we get a player in the top 3 but in the wrong spot, we get 1 point. If we get a player in the top 3 and in the correct spot, we get 3 points. And if whoever's dark horse pick wins, finishes highest, gets 2 points, and the dark horse pick is outside the UDisc top 50 is how we have to pick that. And so whoever wins that gets an additional 2 points. So Connor is obviously not here today. He's in Charlotte with his family. So he texted me his predictions. So I'll just go over his whole list first, and then Trevor and I will give ours. So on MPO, Connor's got Paul coming in first, Ricky coming in second, and he snuck Emerson Keith in third.
Emerson.
That's his third place. I feel like we haven't really heard Emerson's name too much.
He played okay last week, I believe.
Might be a good pick. Maybe Emerson's coming into form right now. On FPO, he went Katrina, Kristen Tatar, and then Paige Pierce third. Pretty stock FPO 1, 2, 3 there.
Yeah.
And then his dark horse pick is Casey White, which I think is a pretty great dark horse pick.
That is solid. Yeah.
All right, so let's start off with MPO. I'll go through my 3, and we'll go your 3. MPO, I have Calvin Heimberg winning this one. I have him taking
How many times were you going to pick Calvin to win before he wins?
Doesn't matter. This is it. So 0
He's
more.
due.
This is it. He's due. Calvin Heimberg's taking it down. Paul Macbeth is coming in second, and I think that the Pro Tour post jinxed Ricky. I think that Ricky's not going to be able to overcome the Pro Tour curse on their Instagram, posting that he's never lost this event. So I'm going Joel Freeman sneaking into third place.
Okay.
So Calvin, Paul, Joel.
You know, this course is interesting because to me it really reads like a very, like, nothing pops out to me as like this course is going to play to this player's strength or that player's strength. It kind of seems stock to me, and I think it'll balance out. So it's one of those where I think the leaderboard could honestly just be a jumbled mess.
Yeah.
Which in that case, you kind of have to pick the best players. So I'm going to go with Paul winning, Ricky in second, and Chris Dickerson in third.
You're the only one of us 3 that picked Ricky in the top 3, which means no. Connor picked Ricky as well. Connor picked Ricky.
I was going to say,
I was looking at it, I was like, we're going to be idiots when Ricky wins this thing by 10. And you win who in third?
Chris Dickerson.
Dickerson, that's a good pick. All right, that's a good top 3 there.
Just going with the hot hands. I feel like Paul and Chris have hot hands right now,
They do.
And Ricky is getting better by the week, so he'll be in form.
All right, let's go ahead and get your FPO top 3.
FPO, similar strategy. You kind of have to. FPO has kind of like, I'm really throwing Paige out of the mix because I just don't like.
I don't know why I'm saying I did the same thing.
Yeah, I don't know why I have any reason to put her in the mix.
She's finished second a bunch, and then sixth once.
This year?
Yeah, she went second, sixth.
It just doesn't feel that way. I feel like the only one she came second at in the second her second.
Maybe
event.
it was All-Star she came second.
Yeah, I was like she doesn't
She
have
All-Star,
2 seconds.
Vegas, Waco.
Yeah.
So it's second and sixth.
So fake second place, that's second and sixth. Yeah, okay. Well, in any case, I don't trust Paige Pierce. I really don't right now. So I've got Katrina winning because she just seems like the hardest to beat right now. And then Kristen in second. She honestly could win this. I think she's probably due. And then I've got Val Mandujano because she's been impressive. So I've got her in third. And
I have a very, very similar. So I have Kristen winning, Katrina Allen second, and then Valerie Mandujano in third.
This is what it becomes a lot of times in the FPO is there's just like always this group of players and it kind of rotates throughout the year. Like I feel like last year there was a time you would pick like Paige, Haley King, Owen Scoggins, and then like it would change to Paige, Kat, Kristen. Like it's just like that trio just rotates. So right now this is kind of our trio that like we think are gonna do well.
Yeah.
Any given week, really.
Yeah. Now on the dark horse side, I picked someone who hasn't made the UDisc rankings yet.
That's dark horse,
which is the darkest of horses, but I just think he's gonna do it for me, Mr. Hype Beast himself.
You just call him a hype beast?
Silas Schultz. Can't put that on the spots. I invented Hype Beast, so Silas Schultz. Why did I write that?
He played well last week, right?
I didn't look at a single stat. I didn't look at anything.
You even know anything about it? I'm pretty sure he actually did play really well last week.
I didn't look at a single stat. I just know he makes great TikToks and reels, and he looks good while he's playing.
Bold strategy. I went with Paul Oman, 73rd in the world, and the reason being, his name stuck out to me because I think he was like in second place going into the second round at Belton, or I think it was Belton, may have been Waco, but he went 25th and 24th respectively at the last 2 events. So like he's been playing really well. Hand. Yeah.
All right, so there you have it. That is the. Dang. I just threw my tape pen straight off the table. That is the preview show. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Be sure to check out the coverage. It'll be on Disc Golf Network live if you want to watch that, or obviously post-produced on Jomez, Gatekeeper, GK Pro, all that good stuff. And you can find us live tweeting it over on Twitter quite a bit. We'll be watching the coverage as much as we can throughout the weekend. We do have a tournament on Saturday, so take that into account. Tournament. Saturday, we might not be glued to our screens, but I'm also going to be trying to do the Twitter Spaces recaps after every round, like I have been doing. Those have been going good. So if you want to kind of get your 2 cents in on what happened during the day, you can pop into the Twitter Spaces, and obviously I'll be going over what I saw, what I think was good, what I think was bad out there, and all that jazz. So be sure to check that out. And we'll talk to you on Monday with the official Grip Locked recap show and go over everything that went down at Texas State's.